Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Lion's Table. This is from Isaiah chapter 8, verse 11 through 14. For this is what the Lord has spoken to me with a strong hand, instructing me not to walk in the way of this people. Do not call conspiracy everything these people regard as conspiracy. Do not fear what they fear. Do not live in dread. Quote unquote. There are Christians that think investigating the viruses and the vaccinations somehow qualify you as a participant in conspiracy theories and fake news. Yet those very same people do not put their trust in the Lord as they turn to the world for answers. You see, many of us who pursue truth are being called conspiracy theorists, and yet we are pointing out the truth of today's events that they reject as truth. Yes, man can do nothing to your mortal flesh. Do not fear. But Jesus never said jump on the world's bandwagon of solutions to problems. He never said that man has all the answers to our problems. And he himself refused the devil when Satan said, I will give you all this. He was talking about the entire world. If you just worship me. This is what is happening. Luke 12, 4 through 5 says, Dear friends, don't be afraid of those who want to kill your body. They cannot do any more to you after that. But I'll tell you whom to fear. Fear God, who has the power to kill you and then throw you into hell. Yes, he is the one to fear. Here's the danger, folks. But first, let us state that God is sovereign. He has the con. But many Christians are praising man for solutions. For example, we heard this rationale against those who pursue truth and are being regarded as fake or conspiracy theorists. And here's the danger which some consider the rationale. This person, whom we're talking about here, I'm not going to go into names, just this person, and I've seen this among others as well, recognizes that God is at work here on our globe. So is Satan. We agree with that. His lies and deception are ever present throughout all ages. We agree. His primary objective is to deceive mankind individually and collectively and to lead us away from God. Agree. Given the fact that Satan is the master deceiver, it can only be concluded that many of us could easily fall for his slick lies, and he can package them in the most credible arguments that millions, if not billions, could embrace. We agree. So, what does all this have to do with COVID-19? Well, in our lifetimes, and perhaps in the history of the world, there has never been a moment in time like the one in which we are living. We agree with that statement. The entire world, including hundreds of nations, collectively agreed on a common response to a worldwide phenomenon. We adamantly disagree with this. Adamantly. Why do we disagree with this? The only ones who have supposedly collectively agreed are those at the very top of the elite. Are we supposed to trust them? His primary objective is to deceive mankind individually and collectively and lead us away to God. So this individual made a lot of true statements, but then capped it off with one absolutely false, and that the collective world has come together to agree on a response to this pandemic. No, absolutely not. In fact, we've seen quite the opposite. Every country is acting differently. Yes, they're wearing masks in a lot of countries, but their methods of attacking it, the means of dealing with it, the amount of suppression of individual liberty has been different, and the speed which they react or don't react has been different. There is no collective agreement by the world on this subject. Unless you assume the world, unless the definition of the world are those who are running the world. This is basically divorcing the masses of people altogether from this collective agreement. So this person was right on every point except for the one that mattered the most. And that is that we are all agree that this jab, their jabs, the masking, the lockdowns, the mandates are all the agreed upon way to tackle the problem. In their own argument, the person has said, Satan works collectively. Well, that's why it's a global event. And Satan has his minions. Believe me, folks, excuse me, Satan's minions are in all the major governments of this world. When we watch governments become oppressive, oppressive beyond what's necessary, we know who we're dealing with. We're not dealing with men of goodwill. We're not dealing with those that have our best interests at heart. These are people who want to control and destroy individual liberty. This is what they're about. They could care less what the name of the event is, as long as the event moves everything toward the direction they want, which is total control, collective control. So if there's a collective agreement, it's at the top, and I mean spiritually at the top as well as literally at the top. It's not among the masses of people in this world. The masses of people know they're starting to smell a rat, which is why we're seeing protests, more and more protests, and why we're seeing those governments then turning on the protesters and shutting them down. Australia in particular is undergoing an incredible oppression of liberty, and they need to be liberated, like way to liberate the Germans from the Nazis. They need an army marching in there to free the people of Australia. In fact, many countries of this world need to be liberated from their rulers. I don't know what kind of people the Australians have elected, but they need to remove them by force now. And I'd say the same with every other country that is undergoing oppression, including the government of this United States. How was the collective response put forward, folks? How was this collective response put forward? How did we get to this supposed collective response that this guy's claiming? They used fear. They used fear. They used fear, folks. They trumped up something that was not deadly, and then they used fear, and they kept pummeling us with fear and more fear and more fear and more fear. They fudged numbers. They changed statistics. They changed rules, whatever they could, and then they promoted that to get fear. They used fear to get this supposed collective agreement. Folks, God does not use fear to coerce people. So this collective enterprise was not God's enterprise, as some Christians are saying. This was Satan's enterprise, and only he uses fear and oppression to coerce. God has never done that. That is not his modus operandi. And for Christians to say that the governments of the world can be trusted in their collective actions using fear and oppression is mindless idiocy at best and satanic doctrines of demons at worst. And don't forget, people, Satan comes as an angel of light. We need to be discerning, folks, not obedient, but discerning. Not obedient to the government, obedient to the collective elite, but we need to be obedient to God and be discerning and do not fear and do not live in dread and trust God. That's what we need to do in every country of the world. And then, doing so, we need prayerfully to move against the oppressors who are the enemies of our freedom and the enemies of God. Trust in the Lord. That's the solution. Anyway, thank you for joining us for this Lions Table. We hope it's been a blessing to you. Please join us again next time.